Have you ever wanted to grow dozens of fresh vegetables in a small backyard space without using soil? Well, that's exactly what Sam is building today. This is a fully off-grid DIY A-Frame NFT hydroponic system, powered by solar energy. In this video, Sam takes you through the complete build process, from a pile of materials to a fully functioning hydroponic garden ready for planting. Let's get started. With the design planned out, the first step was building the A-frame structure that would support the entire hydroponic system. For the frame, Sam used 90 by 45 millimeter treated pine timber. It's affordable, easy to work with, and durable enough to withstand outdoor conditions for many years. Before making any cuts, careful measuring and marking were essential. In a project like this, even a small error can throw the entire frame out of alignment, creating problems later when installing the growing channels. Once all measurements were confirmed, the timber was cut to length using a circular saw. This is one of the quickest ways to process timber for DIY projects, but safety always comes first. Whenever using power tools, it's important to wear the appropriate personal protective equipment, including safety glasses, hearing protection, gloves, and suitable footwear. A clean and stable work area is equally important to reduce the risk of accidents. As the cuts started coming together, the individual pieces began taking shape. While it might not look like much at this stage, these timber sections will eventually become the backbone of the entire hydroponic system, supporting multiple growing channels, nutrient-filled water, and dozens of mature plants. With all the frame components cut and ready, it was time to move on to assembling the A-frame structure. This is the stage where a pile of timber slowly starts transforming into something that actually resembles the final hydroponic system. The first step was laying out the frame components on the deck and checking that everything lined up correctly before any screws were installed. Spending a few extra minutes here can save a lot of frustration later, especially on a project where multiple levels need to remain square and aligned. To make assembling the top section easier, Sam used a 50 by 100 millimeter timber strap nail plate. These plates are surprisingly inexpensive, costing only around 60 cents each from Bunnings, but they can save a significant amount of time when joining angled timber sections. Before driving each screw, a small pilot recess was created using a spade bit. This simple step serves several purposes. It helps guide the screw into position, reduces the chance of the timber splitting, and allows the screw head to sit neatly below the timber surface for a cleaner finish. It's one of those small details that doesn't take long, but can make a big difference to the overall quality of the build. Once the pilot holes were completed, the timber sections were gradually connected together to form the triangular side sections of the A-frame. For the main structural connections, Sam used 70 millimeter timber screws. These screws provide plenty of holding strength for outdoor framing applications and help create a rigid structure capable of supporting the weight of the growing channels, nutrient solution, and mature plants. For some of the secondary connections and bracing members, Sam switched to 40 millimeter timber screws. These shorter screws are ideal when fastening thinner timber sections where longer screws may protrude through the opposite side. With the main structure assembled, the final step for the frame was trimming off the excess timber to create the clean A-frame profile. To do this, Sam used a circular saw to carefully cut away the overhanging sections. This not only improves the appearance of the structure, but also ensures there is enough clearance for the hydroponic channels that will be installed later. To finish the frame, Sam trimmed the bottom of each leg so it would sit perfectly flat on the ground. This is an important step, as a level base helps keep the entire structure stable and prevents any unwanted wobble once the hydroponic channels are installed. Before moving on, Sam quickly cleaned up the work area. A quick pass with the air blower cleared away the sawdust and got everything ready for the next stage. With both A-frame ends completed, it was time to connect them together and form the main structure of the hydroponic system. This step is much easier with an extra pair of hands, so Sam recruited his wife to help position and hold the frames while the cross members were installed. The cross timbers not only connect the two A-frames together, but also adds strength and rigidity to the overall structure, helping it stay stable once the growing channels and plants are installed. As more cross members were installed, the structure quickly became stronger and started looking like the final A-Frame Hydroponic System. And if you're enjoying this build so far, don't forget to subscribe to DIY with Sam. There are plenty more hydroponic, solar-powered, and backyard DIY projects coming soon. For the main structural connections, Sam continued using 70mm timber screws to provide a strong and secure frame. Before driving each screw, pilot holes were drilled first. This simple step helps guide the screws into position, reduces the chance of the timber splitting, and creates a cleaner finish overall. With the main frame now assembled, it was time to move on to installing the growing channels. The first step was marking out the PVC pipes to ensure all the planting holes were evenly spaced. In this build, Sam chose a spacing of 300mm between each plant site. Once the measurements were marked, the holes were cut using a hole saw attached to a drill. For this system, Sam used 55mm mesh pots, so the hole size was selected to provide a snug fit while still allowing the net pots to be easily removed when needed. Taking the time to accurately measure and align these holes helps create a neat, professional-looking system and ensures each plant receives equal access to light and growing space. With the frame complete, it was finally time to install the growing channels. Installing the pipes is definitely a two-person job. The channels are long, awkward to handle, and need to be positioned accurately to ensure the system remains level and evenly spaced. For this build, Sam used 90mm PVC pipes. This size works well for most small to medium-sized plants, providing enough room for healthy root growth while keeping the system compact and efficient. The brackets were fixed using the same 40mm timber screws used earlier in the build. Before fully tightening the screws, each pipe was checked for alignment to make sure all 4 growing channels sat neatly and evenly across the frame. Before securing the pipes permanently, Sam used a spirit level to set the correct fall for the NFT channels. For this build, Sam used approximately a 5-degree angle, which provides good water flow without moving too quickly through the system. Taking the time to position the channels correctly is important, not only for appearance but also for proper water flow throughout the NFT system. As each pipe was installed, the project really started coming together. What was once a simple timber frame was now beginning to look like a fully functional hydroponic growing system. Taking the time to get the slope right is important. Too little fall can cause water to pool inside the channels, while too much fall may reduce the amount of nutrients available to the plant roots. With all the channels securely mounted and aligned, the A-Frame Hydroponic System was finally starting to take shape and was ready for the next stage of plumbing and water circulation. With the growing channels installed, it was time to move on to the plumbing system that would carry nutrient-rich water through each pipe. For this build, Sam used 90mm PVC end caps and 15mm PVC pipe and fittings to connect all 4 growing channels together. The first step was modifying the end caps. Using a hole saw, a 15mm hole was drilled into each cap to suit the plumbing fittings. Careful measuring is important here, as the position of each hole determines how well the pipes line up once everything is assembled. To connect the channels, Sam used a combination of 15mm male and female threaded adapters. These fittings provide a secure connection point between the larger growing channels and the smaller plumbing pipes. After confirming everything lined up correctly, the end caps were installed onto the growing channels. For a permanent installation like this, it's recommended to use PVC primer and glue to secure the fittings and help prevent leaks in the future. At this stage, the individual growing channels were ready to be linked together. A rubber mallet and PVC pipe cutter were 2 handy tools during this stage. The mallet helped fit the end caps without damaging them, while the pipe cutter made quick, clean cuts on the plumbing pipes. Using 15mm PVC pipe and elbows, Sam connected each growing channel together. The smaller pipe size is more than adequate for NFT systems, because only a shallow stream of water is required to flow through each channel. The plumbing was designed so that water flows through the top channel first, then gravity feeds down through each lower channel before finally returning to the reservoir. This simple cascading design reduces the amount of plumbing required and allows a single pump to circulate water through the entire system. For this project, Sam chose 90mm PVC pipes, which are ideal for growing most leafy greens and herbs such as lettuce, spinach, bok choy, and basil. If you're planning to grow larger plants like tomatoes, capsicums, cucumbers, or eggplants, you might want to consider using larger diameter pipes. These plants develop much bigger root systems, and giving the roots more space can help them grow healthier and access nutrients more effectively. For the reservoir, Sam used an 80-liter storage container positioned underneath the system. This acts as the nutrient tank, storing water before it is pumped back to the top channel. When designing an NFT system, it's important to make sure the lowest growing channel sits high enough above the reservoir. This provides enough flow for the water to return freely under gravity without backing up inside the pipes. To finish the return plumbing, both outlet pipes were connected into a single drain line using a PVC T-fitting. This allows all returning water to flow back into the reservoir through one simple connection. For this build, Sam used an AquaPro 20-watt submersible pump with a maximum head height of 1.2 meters. When choosing a pump for your own system, make sure it's capable of lifting water to the highest point of your setup while still providing adequate flow. The pump sits inside the 80-liter reservoir and pushes nutrient-rich water back to the top growing channel, allowing gravity to do the rest of the work. For the supply line, Sam used 13mm polypipe and matching fittings. These are inexpensive, easy to work with, and readily available from most local hardware stores. The polypipe was secured neatly to the frame using pipe clips before being connected to the top channel. This helps keep the plumbing tidy and prevents the hose from moving around during operation. With the pump connected and the water supply line installed, the hydroponic system was finally ready for its first test run. With everything connected, it was time to fill the reservoir. Sam used ordinary tap water, making sure there was enough water in the tank to keep the pump fully submerged before testing the system. To make the system completely off-grid, Sam powered it using a 200-watt solar panel and a 120 amp-hour battery. This setup provides enough power to keep the hydroponic system running throughout the day without relying on mains electricity. Because the pump used in this build is a 240-volt AC pump, an inverter was installed to convert the 12-volt battery power into 240 volts. If you're using a 12-volt DC water pump, you can connect it directly to the battery and eliminate the need for an inverter altogether, making the system even more efficient. With the solar panel, battery, and pump connected, the hydroponic system was now fully off-grid and ready for operation. Once everything was connected, Sam ran the system for a few minutes to test the water flow and check for any leaks. As the pipes filled with water, the reservoir level dropped slightly, so a small top-up was needed. Fortunately, everything worked exactly as planned, with smooth water flow and no leaks found anywhere in the system. With the system complete and running smoothly, it was finally time for the fun part, adding the plants. For the first planting, Sam chose a mix of salad leaves, broccoli, and bok choy. These seedlings were purchased from a local nursery, although you can also start your own seedlings from seed if you prefer. Before placing them into the system, the soil was carefully washed away from the roots. The seedlings were then placed into the mesh pots, making sure some of the roots extended through the bottom openings so they could easily reach the nutrient-rich water flowing through the channels. To keep the plant secure, clay balls were added around the roots inside the mesh pots. These help support the plants while allowing plenty of air and water to reach the root system. It's finally time to place the plants into the system. Make sure to leave enough spacing between each plant, as different crops require different amounts of room to grow. Leafy greens can usually be planted closer together, while larger vegetables will need more space as they mature. Proper spacing improves airflow, sunlight exposure, and helps the plants develop healthy leaves and roots. Once the seedlings are in place, make sure to double check that the roots are extending through the mesh pots and are touching the water flowing through the channels. This is important, especially during the first few days, as the roots need access to water and nutrients while they establish themselves in the system. Now comes one of the most important steps in any hydroponic system: mixing the nutrients. For this build, Sam used a 2-part liquid hydroponic nutrient solution. Both Part A and Part B need to be added in equal amounts according to the manufacturer's instructions. Always add them separately and mix thoroughly to avoid nutrient lockup. Once the nutrients were added, Sam used an EC meter and pH meter to check the water quality. For young leafy greens, an EC between 1.2 and 1.6 millisiemens per centimeter is a good starting point, while a pH of around 6.5 helps plants absorb nutrients efficiently. If the pH is too high or too low, you may need to use pH up or pH down solution to bring it back into the ideal range. And just like that, the DIY A-Frame Hydroponic System is complete and ready to start growing fresh vegetables. Over the next few weeks, these seedlings will establish their roots, grow through the channels, and hopefully provide a steady supply of fresh, homegrown produce. If you enjoyed this project and would like to see future updates on how the plants perform, make sure to subscribe to DIY with Sam and hit the notification bell so you don't miss upcoming videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next DIY project.